On International Workers' Day, my husband and I set off on a road trip. Along the way, we kindly offered a woman a ride, never imagining what fate awaited me. When a landslide suddenly struck, those two, my husband and that woman, left me behind, pulling each other to safety without the slightest hesitation. I was rescued by villagers from a nearby village, but instead of kindness, they locked me in a pigsty. There, I endured unspeakable humiliation and abuse. The child in my womb was lost. From then on, as long as someone had money, they could enter that filthy pen. Again and again, I was forced to bear children, only to lose them each time. This nightmare went on for years, until I was finally abused to death. It was only after dying that I finally learned the truth. The woman we picked up that day was my husband's so-called Bai Yue Guang. In Chinese culture, Bai Yue Guang, meaning white moonlight, is a metaphor for an unattainable love, pure and idealized, someone who lives forever in one's heart. She was the one he cherished above all. And the child I lost, it wasn't even my husband's. He had offered me to a superior in exchange for his own promotion. Once he achieved his ambitions, he grew to despise me. Together with his white moonlight, they schemed to steal everything I owned, abandoned me in that desolate place, and left me to starve. While I suffered and died, they lived a life of luxury, enjoying my fortune, raising children together, never once looking back. My soul could not rest, consumed by rage and regret. But then, I opened my eyes and found myself alive again. I had been reborn. Wife, there's a company party tonight. The boss says everyone must bring a spouse. Make sure you look beautiful. I'll come pick you up after work. The WeChat notification snapped me back to reality. As I looked at the message, I realized this was the day it all began. The day my husband, Shen Fu, brought me to that banquet, setting me up to be offered to the company's general manager. I gazed around our familiar home, my eyes burning with tears. Heaven had given me another chance. This time, I was not pregnant. I had not gone on that ill-fated trip with Shen Fu, nor had I met Lin Xiao, his Bai Yue Guang. Even though there was still a month until International Workers' Day, tonight's party was the first crisis I had to face. I remembered Director Chu, an overweight man with a fake smile and a lecherous gaze. In my previous life, I wasn't on guard. I let my guard down, was tricked into drinking, and fell straight into their trap. But not this time. Now I knew everything. There was no way I'd let history repeat itself. With determination, I replied to his message with a single word. All right. Then I went to the pharmacy and waited for Shen Fu to pick me up. As soon as I got in the car, he was delighted to see me wearing a white dress. He drove us to the hotel, where the company event was already lively and crowded, everyone eating, drinking, and chatting away. Shen Fu smiled brightly, held my arm, and led me straight through the crowd to stand before Director Chu, just as he did in my previous life. Director Chu, this is my wife, Liu QQ, he introduced me. QQ, meaning autumn, is a gentle and feminine name. Director Chu took a sip of wine, his eyes roaming over me with satisfaction. Shen, you're really lucky. Your wife is not only beautiful, but she has such poise. Unlike mine, I get bored just looking at her. That was a typical sarcastic remark. Putting down his own wife while flattering mine, a common way for men in business circles to bond. Hearing this, Shen Fu's eyes lit up. Director Chu, you flatter me. My wife can't compare to your lady. If you don't mind, let her offer you a toast. Director Chu's eyes sparkled with hidden meaning. Shen, you know how to handle things. You should come work in my office as my assistant. Shen Fu could barely contain his excitement, thanking him profusely, then turned to me. Wife, go on. Toast Director Chu. I didn't hesitate. I lifted my glass and toasted him, cheerful and open, just as they wanted. The two men exchanged satisfied glances, convinced I had fallen into their trap. But inside, I was cold and calculating. Just then, a familiar figure appeared. Lin Xiao. She was wearing a cheongsam, gracefully carrying a tray of wine among the guests. She looked so elegant and beautiful. When the tray was empty, she returned inside to fetch more. She was working as a waitress at the hotel. So, in my previous life, I hadn't noticed her at the party and failed to recognize her on that road trip later. Who would have thought that Shen Fu's Bai Yue Guang, the untouchable woman he idolized, had fallen so low, forced to work as a waitress? No wonder Shen Fu seized the chance to get close to her, then plotted with her to ruin me, all so he could marry his white moonlight. Could it be they had already met by now? Wife, what are you staring at? Director Chu is waiting for your toast. Shen Fu's voice snapped me back to reality. I looked up to see Director Chu raising his glass, signaling me to drink again. One glass after another, they kept finding excuses to make me drink. Before long, I'd finished 5 glasses of red wine. But this time, it was them who looked a little dizzy, while I remained completely clear-headed. Even so, Shen Fu didn't forget to push me toward Director Chu, pretending to be tipsy. Wife, Director Chu is drunk. His VIP room is 308. Help him upstairs to rest, will you? I put on an anxious face. I'm feeling lightheaded too. Wait for me, okay? Shen Fu gave us a little shove, shaking his head. Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll be waiting right by the door for you. I glanced at Director Chu, who looked dazed and lecherous, and curled my lips into a cold smile, helping him toward the elevator. The moment I opened the door to room 308, he lunged at me. Beautiful girl, as long as you serve me well, I'll make sure your husband gets a promotion. After that, you'll have an easy life. I quickly covered his mouth. Director Chu, I dropped my sexy lingerie at the elevator earlier. Let me go pick it up, and I'll be right back, okay? His drunk eyes lit up with lust. He instantly let go, waving his hand. Hurry up. I'll be waiting for you. I slipped out of the room, rushed down to the front desk, and asked them to have the waitress, Lin Xiao, bring a bottle of Hennessy Richard to room 308. Please make it quick. Without waiting for their response, I blended into the crowd, quietly observing. Sure enough, with a request for such an expensive drink, the hotel couldn't ignore it. Moments later, the front desk called Lin Xiao to deliver the bottle. I hurried up the stairs, keeping an eye on the hallway. I saw Lin Xiao enter room 308, the door left slightly open, every detail clear before my eyes. As soon as she stepped in, I heard Lin Xiao's voice, trembling and angry. Let me go. I'm a waitress, not that kind of woman. Director Chu, half satisfied from my earlier distraction and fired up from the alcohol, now saw another beautiful woman walk into his room. How could he let the opportunity slip by? I don't care who you are, just serve me well. I'll give you 10,000 yuan. Lin Xiao struggled fiercely. No, I don't want to. Please let me go, or I'll call the police. Director Chu sneered. The hotel owner is a friend of mine. If you anger me, not only will you lose your job, but you'll also be branded as someone who tried to seduce me. Why not serve me well, and I'll give you 20,000 yuan, and even ask the boss to promote you. His words made Lin Xiao hesitate, her resistance weakening. Are you serious? Director Chu slapped his chest in fake sincerity. Of course. You're beautiful. If you don't want to work here, you can follow me instead. Lin Xiao finally stopped resisting. The door closed, and unspeakable sounds soon echoed from within. I stopped the recording, saving the video clip, then quietly slipped away. Out the back door of the hotel, I quickly hailed a taxi. The moment the car started moving, I felt my whole body go limp. Before coming here, I had taken an anti-alcohol pill from the pharmacy, so even after 5 glasses of wine, I wasn't affected at all. My plan had been to wait for them to get drunk, then quietly leave. But I hadn't expected to run into Lin Xiao. Taking a risk, I had led Director Chu to his room, then arranged for the front desk to call Lin Xiao up. Not just to get revenge for my past life, but also to see if they had any connection. During the party, I hadn't seen them speak, but I couldn't believe they didn't recognize each other. The real answer would reveal itself tomorrow. This move was dangerous, and the outcome could only go one of two ways. First, Lin Xiao might refuse to call the police, leaving both her and Director Chu compromised. I would have gotten my revenge. Second, if Director Chu succeeded, Lin Xiao would be blackmailed into silence, and I'd still have something to hold over them both. What surprised me was just how easily she gave in. For money, for a promotion, she surrendered without much of a fight. Far sooner than I expected, I was already home. Without much time to think, I opened the door, and there was Shen Fu, fast asleep on the bed, never even bothering to wait for me at the hotel. To him, it was only natural that I'd be the one serving Director Chu tonight. A cold, bitter smile crept across my lips. I closed the door behind me, remembering what I'd accomplished that night, and settled into the guest room, feeling a rare sense of satisfaction. The next morning, when Shen Fu finally crawled out of bed and saw me, he froze, stunned. "Wife, why are you at home? Weren't you supposed to stay at the hotel?" I did my best to hide my disgust, pretending not to understand. Why would I stay at the hotel? I took Director Chu to his room, then came straight home. His face changed instantly. "What? You left? Then how am I supposed to get my promotion? Director Chu said today he'd let me work as his assistant. If you left, how can he recommend me now?" I looked at him coldly and pressed, "Shen Fu, what are you really saying? Are you asking me to sleep with him, just so you can get promoted?" Caught. Shen Fu's face twisted with embarrassment, realizing he'd said too much. He quickly tried to cover it up. No, that's not what I meant. I just wanted you to chat with him, make him happy, that's all. I never said you had to sleep with him." But I remembered all too well how in my previous life I'd been so drunk I couldn't remember how I got home, and had even been happy, thinking I was carrying his child, never suspecting it was all because he'd offered me to someone else. Rage burned through me. I wanted to strangle him right then and there. But murder means punishment. Given this second chance, I couldn't destroy myself for revenge. No, I would make him pay, slowly, for everything he'd done to me. And besides, Lin Xiao was still alive and well. It wasn't time yet. I pretended to relent, softening my voice. "I know, I just want to help you get ahead." But after I took Director Chu up, I saw a waitress going into his room, and then, well, you know. Shen Fu's eyes widened, his face flushed with anger. Damn it, who dared steal my opportunity? I laughed coldly to myself. Of course it was your so-called Bai Yue Guang, the white moonlight you never let go of. Shen Fu headed off to work, while I began to prepare for our upcoming holiday trip. There was no way I believed the landslide in my past life had been an accident. After all, he was the one who'd chosen the location. I searched online, and sure enough, found that Yanshi County, Jianshi, was forecasted to have heavy rain during the holiday, and landslides were likely. That was exactly where we'd gone last time. Remote, isolated, the kind of place where, if something happened, everyone would just blame it on a natural disaster, no questions asked. They deliberately picked that place to kill me. I still remembered how hard the rain had fallen that day, how I'd tried to stop us from going, but Shen Fu just smiled and said, "Wife, after the rain, there'll be a rainbow and a waterfall. You'll love it." Then, on the road, we ran into Lin Xiao, drenched from the rain, and everything unfolded just as they'd planned. This time, I ordered self-defense tools. If they dared try to take me there again, I would make sure they never came back. That night, when Shen Fu returned, his face was dark and stormy. I stayed silent, letting him stew in his own frustration. Finally, he snapped, slamming a bowl to the ground. "Liu QQ, because you didn't seize the chance, not only did I not get promoted, but now I've been transferred to the worst department, handling all the messes no one wants." I looked at the broken shards on the floor and sneered. "That's your own incompetence. Why blame me? If you had real ability, you wouldn't need to use a woman to get ahead." His face flushed with anger, but he still tried to argue. "Everyone does it. It's not just me. Why can other wives do it, but you can't? I looked at him as if I were looking at a dead man. Instead of blaming me, why not look at who really stole your chance? A man who relies on women to climb the ladder. Shen Fu, you disgust me. With that, I grabbed a few things, slammed the door, and left. As the door closed behind me, I finally felt a sense of relief. I moved in with my best friend, Jiao Jiao. The excuse I'd given Shen Fu earlier was just that, an excuse to get out of the house. In secret, I hired someone known as Brother La, a professional at tracking people's private affairs, to follow Shen Fu and report his every move to me. As expected, the very next day, Shen Fu went to the hotel. Brother La sent me a video. In it, Shen Fu met with Lin Xiao. I texted Brother La, "Does Shen Fu know that the person who went into room 308 was Lin Xiao?" Brother La replied quickly, "I slipped the receptionist some cash, but she told me they don't disclose such personal details. Shen probably just ran into her by coincidence, and that girl didn't know why he was there either." I hesitated. Could it really be such a coincidence? Brother La added, "It really seems so. But they've arranged to meet again tonight. Should I take pictures or record video?" I smirked coldly. "Of course." "Oh, and do you have those ultra mini cameras? I'll need a few." He laughed. "Naturally. The best on the market, cheap and reliable. You can hide them anywhere. No one will ever find out." The next day, he really did bring me several. He even encouraged me. "Use as many as you want. Don't hold back." Jiao Jiao watched my hesitation. "QQ, do you really want to go this far? After all, you two were once the perfect couple. Shen Fu never treated you that badly." I looked at her, memories of Shen Fu flashing through my mind. But what lingered was the image of him and Lin Xiao, leaving me for dead in the landslide, abandoning me without a thought for my life. I gripped the cameras tightly and spoke softly. "Jiao Jiao, I once thought I'd found a safe harbor. Who would have thought that all the storms in my life would come from him? As people say, marriage isn't a guarantee. Sometimes it only reveals someone's true worth." Jiao Jiao said nothing more. She simply hugged me, giving me comfort and silent support. I hugged her back. To have someone still by my side after coming back to life, it felt wonderful. I stayed at Jiao Jiao's place for 3 days. Shen Fu never came for me, not even a phone call. If it weren't for Brother La's surveillance, I wouldn't have known that he'd already brought Lin Xiao home. Our apartment, a spacious unit in the Datuo area, was a property my parents left me before marriage, fully under my name. I even owned another 5-bedroom house, also in my name. In my previous life, Shen Fu and Lin Xiao's greed for these properties had driven them to plot my death. This time, when I went home to install cameras, Shen Fu hadn't brought Lin Xiao back yet. 2 days later, Brother La called me. "Ms. Liu, your husband brought her home." Even though I knew about their affair, seeing them cross the threshold of my own house made fury boil up inside me. I nearly rushed over to smash their heads in, but reason held me back. That would be letting them off too easily. I checked the surveillance footage. They'd just entered the apartment. Lin Xiao, who'd once come from a fairly well-off family, now had to live in a basement after everything she'd been through. The amazement in her eyes as she stepped into my luxurious apartment was obvious. Shen Fu, enjoying her admiration, lifted his chin, his voice full of pride. "I have another house too. This is nothing. Once I divorce her, everything will be ours." Lin Xiao was stunned. "You have another house? But if you get divorced, won't you have to split them both?" Shen Fu's expression changed instantly. He'd kept it a secret that both homes were in my name. Now Lin Xiao thought she'd only get half, not realizing he wouldn't get anything, no matter how the divorce went. But so what? If he wanted to marry her, some loss was unavoidable. Lin Xiao was clever. She moved closer, hugged him, and said softly, "I know I shouldn't be with a married man, but I already regret missing out on you once. I don't want to lose you again. If you're willing to divorce her for me, I'll accept anything, even if I end up with nothing." Shen Fu gently stroked her hair, his voice soft and tender. How could I let you suffer? We'll find a way to make both houses ours. Instead of splitting the assets, it's better if she simply disappears. Lin Xiao looked up in shock. Disappear? Are you serious? But Shen Fu's expression was calm, even curling into a cold smirk. She's useless, only knows how to make me angry. What's the point in keeping her around? If we divorce, I'll lose everything. The only real solution is for her to vanish. Lin Xiao hesitated, fear flickering across her face. But murder is a crime. What if we get caught? Shen Fu stroked her cheek, soothing her. Don't worry. I've got everything planned. When the time comes, just follow my lead. I'll lure her to Yanshi, and you'll pretend you need help getting a ride. This year there's supposed to be a landslide. Once we get her there, all we have to do is push her. She'll die before she even realizes what's happening. The more Lin Xiao listened, the more frightened she became, worry written all over her face. Will it really work? One wrong move, and we're finished. Shen Fu reassured her. Don't worry, the plan can always be changed. If she survives, we'll blame everything on a natural disaster. All that matters is getting her out there. Finally, Lin Xiao seemed comforted, snuggling into his chest, tears shining in her eyes. Shen Fu, you'd do so much just to marry me. I'll love you forever. He said nothing more, just lifted her face and kissed her, the two of them entangling themselves on the big bed. I watched them through the surveillance feed, my face ice cold. As the holiday approached, Shen Fu finally called me. Liu Qiu, you've been angry long enough. Aren't you over it yet? Where are you? I'll come pick you up. Let's go on a trip for the May Day holiday, just to relax. If it had been before, I might have been overjoyed. But now, all I felt was disgust. These days, the two of them shamelessly lived together in my home, not even bothering to hide their affair. At first, Lin Xiao had been a little nervous, but Shen Fu reassured her. Don't worry, just stay here. She's so stubborn. Unless I reach out first, she'll never come back on her own. All I need to do is say a few sweet words, and she'll come running. He was right. But this time, I would follow their plan, to the very end. I answered him with a chilly voice. I'm staying at Jiao Jiao's house. Where do you want to go? Shen Fu wasn't the least bit surprised by my attitude. It was all within his calculations. You'll find out when we get there. I want to give you a surprise. I'll come pick you up. I refused to give him any chance to get close. No need. On the morning of May 1st, I'll wait for you at the gate of Jiao Jiao's neighborhood. I'll drive my own car. Shen Fu tried to say more, but I hung up. He'd made the call right in front of Lin Xiao. When she heard I'd be using my own car, she grew anxious. What do we do now? If she's driving herself, our plan won't work. All the things we need are already packed in the car at home. So quick to lay claim to my belongings. She'd only been here a few days and already acted as if everything was hers. Shen Fu thought for a moment, but stayed calm. Don't worry. We can pack everything into a backpack. As long as she drinks that bottle of water, everything will go according to plan. If she refuses, it'll be hard to find another opportunity. Go ahead one day early and wait at Jueshan town. I'll text you the car's license plate. Bring the backpack. I'm afraid she'll be suspicious. Lin Xiao clutched her chest, acting weak and pitiful. Honey, I'm a little scared. Shen Fu pulled her close, soothing her. Don't be. I'll take care of everything. The night before the holiday, I checked my car thoroughly. When Shen Fu came to pick me up, he looked surprised at all the supplies. You're really well prepared, even brought water and snacks. Without enthusiasm, I got straight into the back seat. The trip was a long one, so I'd prepared plenty of snacks and drinks. I just don't want to starve on the road, I said, feigning worry. If we can't find any food along the way, what are we supposed to do? Starve to death on the highway? Shen Fu's face darkened. The more he looked at me, the more irritated he seemed. Liu Qiu, I made the effort to make peace and even offered to take you on a trip to help you relax. Must you always sound so sarcastic? I lifted my head and stared at him. If I didn't want to avoid a divorce, do you think I'd bother going anywhere with you? You ignored me for so long. Am I not even allowed to be angry? Shen Fu was silenced, his mouth tight, and drove off without another word. It was only then that I realized why he insisted on bringing Lin Xiao along. He needed her to help, since it would be hard for him to make a move while driving. With a partner, everything would be much easier. We hardly spoke on the road. In his mind, even if I agreed to come, I hadn't forgiven him. So he didn't bother to sweet-talk me. Why should he? After all, I'd be dead soon. As for me, every word exchanged with him felt nauseating. After several hours, Shen Fu suddenly pulled over in Suishan town. I pretended to be curious. He opened the car door and explained, "I'll just go buy you some snacks at the store." He dashed through the rain, then made a phone call right outside. A few minutes later, he returned with an armful of food. I smirked inwardly. Exactly like last time. In my previous life, I'd never questioned these little acts, and that's why I lost the upper hand. We hit the road again. Only a few minutes later, Shen Fu suddenly slammed on the brakes. I looked out and saw Lin Xiao standing by the roadside, drenched, waving at us. Shen Fu turned to me. "There's someone up ahead. She looks so pitiful, soaked to the bone in this rain. Why don't we give her a ride? Doing a good deed brings its own reward." I neither agreed nor refused. He took my silence as permission and pulled over. Lin Xiao quickly got in, dripping wet, and thanked us repeatedly. Even though my face was cold and distant, she kept thanking me, handing me a bottle of mineral water. I glanced at it and replied coolly, "Thank you, but I've brought my own drinks. I prefer something with flavor." At my words, Lin Xiao's expression shifted instantly, and even Shen Fu looked surprised in the rearview mirror. Lin Xiao was at a loss for words. After all, we weren't close, and she couldn't say much on her first ride with us. She shot Shen Fu a look in the mirror. He quickly caught the hint and chimed in, "Wife, I didn't realize you liked soda so much. It's healthier to drink water than soda. Too much sugar isn't good for you," I said, unscrewing my own drink and taking a deliberate sip. After wiping my mouth, I added, "I've discovered this new drink recently. Not only does it taste great, but it's got electrolytes. Perfect since I've been feeling a little under the weather. Would either of you like to try it?" Shen Fu's hands suddenly tightened on the wheel, making the car swerve just a bit. "Drive carefully," I snapped. "It's pouring out. If we skid off the road and crash, what then?" Shen Fu hurried to apologize. "Sorry, the roads are slippery. It's a storm tonight. Luckily, we're almost at the tourist area." Hearing this, Lin Xiao seemed to take it as a signal. She rummaged in her backpack and pulled out a steaming local pastry. "You two must be hungry. Here, this is a local specialty where I'm from." I accepted it and set it aside, then quickly pulled out a jacket from my bag and draped it over Lin Xiao, even fastening it snugly. She'd made her move as soon as she got in the car. Now, it was my turn. "Thanks for the water and the food, but you're soaked through. If you don't wear a jacket, you'll catch a cold." If I didn't act now, it'd soon be too late. According to my memories, we were nearly at the spot where the landslide would happen. Lin Xiao seemed flustered and instinctively tried to remove the jacket. I pressed her hand down, stopping her, and pretended to get angry. "What? You don't like my jacket? If you hate it so much, then get out and walk. I'm tired of waiting for you." Startled, Lin Xiao froze and explained, "No, not at all. Thank you for letting me ride with you. I was just afraid I'd get your jacket wet." Shen Fu quickly jumped in. "It's fine. My wife's a good person. Don't worry about it. Just keep it on, or you'll catch cold." After saying that, Shen Fu turned to me. "Wife, she's being so friendly. You should eat the pastry, or she'll think you're turning up your nose at her." His determination to kill me was truly impressive. Even now, he was still trying to make me eat the poisoned pastry. I replied absent-mindedly, "I'm really full. I'll have it later when I get hungry." At that moment, Lin Xiao's expression shifted. She didn't say another word. Her eyes began to droop, fluttering as if she was about to fall asleep. Even though she tried to shake herself awake, she couldn't stay conscious. I glanced over at Shen Fu. He too was beginning to nod off. The drugs were finally working. I feigned alarm. "Honey, are you tired? Pull over and let me drive. Don't fall asleep at the wheel." Shen Fu, dazed, managed to steer the car to the side of the road, his movements sluggish. By the time he realized what was happening, he barely had the strength to speak. He was completely at my mercy as I dragged him into the back seat next to Lin Xiao, now fully unconscious. What they didn't know was that I'd laced the jacket I gave Lin Xiao with sedatives. Shen Fu, sitting farther away, had only inhaled a little, which was why he remained conscious longer. He struggled to get up, but he was already too weak. I quickly moved to the driver's seat and hit the gas. In my past life, I'd eaten the tainted pastry and drunk the spiked water. Shen Fu hadn't stopped the car at all, just driven us straight to the landslide site. This time, I deliberately delayed for several minutes. Now it was time to speed up. I headed for a deserted stretch of road with no cameras. The rain was coming down harder than ever, muddy water streaming down from the hillsides. I glanced up at the mountains. The soil and rocks were already beginning to loosen. I had only a few minutes left. I floored it, then slammed the brakes and stopped. First, I dragged Lin Xiao out, laying her in the middle of the road where the earth was most unstable. Then I went back for Shen Fu and the backpack I'd prepared in advance. He was nearly unconscious as I pulled him along. He slurred. "Wife, what are you doing? Where are you taking me?" I leaned in close and whispered into his ear. "I'm taking you to die, of course. And one more thing, the woman who ruined your deal with Director Chu that night. That was Lin Xiao. She told you she was pregnant with your child, right? Well, let me tell you, the father is actually Director Chu." At those words, Shen Fu's whole body went rigid. He tried desperately to sit up, but he couldn't even open his eyes, forced to let me drag him to the center of the road. I tossed the backpack on top of him, then ran back to the car and reversed as far away as possible. Boom! The mountainside collapsed. Water and rocks came crashing down, sweeping Shen Fu and Lin Xiao off the road and into the ravine below. The drop wasn't too deep, just a muddy slope that ended at a wide river. In my previous life, the villagers had found me on that slope. This time, the landslide didn't last long. I waited in the car for nearly half an hour until the rain finally let up and the water started to recede. I walked to the edge of the cliff and looked down. On the slope, I could only see Lin Xiao. Shen Fu was nowhere to be found. I paused for a moment, but quickly calmed myself. Even if Shen Fu had been swept into the river, he'd been unconscious, battered by rocks. There was no way he'd survive. As for Lin Xiao, just like last time, half an hour later, she was discovered by the villagers and carried away. But this time they took the backpack I'd planted too. I'd sewn a tiny camera into the strap, never expecting it would survive. I'd thought it would be swept away with them, but Lin Xiao must have grabbed it, and the villagers took it with her. Once they were gone, I rolled in the mud, covering myself in dirt and making sure my hands and feet were scratched and bruised. Looking as miserable as possible, I called the police. I told them that I'd come here as a tourist, got out of the car to take pictures, and suddenly a landslide struck. The two people with me had been swept away, but I was lucky. I'd been standing farther back and managed to survive. The police immediately launched a search, combing the cliffs and the riverbanks. By midday, they still hadn't found any trace of the other two. After finishing my statement at the police station, I was allowed to go home. At first, the police were suspicious. They questioned me thoroughly, checked every detail. I had deliberately left the car door open during the landslide, letting mud and debris splash into the interior. That way, any lingering scent of the drugged jacket would be masked, and it would look like we'd only stepped out for photos when disaster struck. They checked my dashcam, but since my car only had a front-facing camera, nothing was recorded of what happened behind the vehicle. The audio recordings picked up nothing out of the ordinary, either. The wounds on my body matched what someone would get being swept by rocks and mud, especially my bloody hands. I told them I'd grabbed onto a tree branch to keep from being washed away, and that's why I'd survived. Once home, I tried repeatedly to access the footage from the hidden camera in the backpack, but the screen stayed black. I wasn't sure if Lin Xiao was even alive, but seeing her carried off by the villagers meant escape wouldn't come easy. 3 days later, the camera finally came to life. The backpack had been placed in a simple clay house, clearly somewhere in the countryside. A familiar voice echoed through the device, a woman's, rough and callous. "Hey, that girl you brought home, you make sure to keep her safe. She's going to bear children for our family, and with so many bachelors in the village, she's a real moneymaker. It's like heaven sent us our own cash machine." A coarse man's voice replied, "Mom, you mean I can make money off her? I think she's pregnant already. I might have accidentally made her lose it, though." Those voices sent a chill through me. How could I not recognize them? They were Liu Han and his mother, the ones who'd locked me up in my previous life. This is a common tragic motif in some rural areas. A bachelor son, elderly parents, unable to marry, so they abduct a woman and imprison her for childbirth and profit. The old woman continued, "So what if she lost one? It's not like it was our blood. Just get her pregnant a few more times, make us some money." Liu Han laughed gleefully. "You're right, Mom. She's beautiful. Fair-skinned and sweet, just what I wanted." His mother slapped him lightly. "Don't get cocky. Guard her well. If you let her run away or get stolen by another villager, you'll have to split the profits. Let everyone know, if anyone tries to steal her, there's nothing in it for them. Got it?" Liu Han answered immediately. "I get it, Mom. I'll go put her in the pigsty now. Try to get her pregnant right away." Hearing that, I knew the backpack was now in Liu Han's mother's room. I switched off the camera and slept soundly for the first time in ages. Afterwards, I pretended to be consumed by grief, staying home and refusing to go out. Half a month later, the police finally called. Shen Fu's body had been found, swept far downstream, and left bloated and unrecognizable after more than 2 weeks in the water. I put on the performance of a lifetime, collapsing in tears, fainting, and then waking only to cry some more, until all the paperwork for his cremation was complete. Then, without hesitation, I sold the luxury apartment we'd shared and bought a new place in another part of the city. Life slowly began to settle into something peaceful, almost happy. One night after dinner and a walk with Jiao Jiao, I happened to check the backpack camera again. Liu Han's voice was full of excitement. "Mom, I made over 200 wen today. If only that girl wasn't so weak after giving birth, she might handle 8 men a day. Drives me crazy. If she were stronger, I'd be the richest guy in the village by now." His mother chided him gently. "Be satisfied. Remember how you used to slave all month for less than 500? Now you get 200 a day. You treat her well, or she'll die too soon." Liu Han quickly agreed. "Don't worry, Mom." I clenched my phone, lips curling into a cold smile. "Lin Xiao, I hope you don't die too quickly. Everything I suffered in my last life, you'd better experience every single bit of it. Don't you dare die so easily." With that, I deleted the footage from my phone, deciding I would never watch it again. Whether Lin Xiao lived or died no longer mattered to me. Later, I would learn that Lin Xiao herself was far from innocent. In the end, she brought disease to Liu Han and his mother, and to that entire cursed village. The only possible outcome was death for all of them. And so the revenge for my previous life was finally complete.